Right, so I thought I'd make a buyer's guide of sorts for the iPad Air 5, so let's delve into the main upgrades with this iPad, how this compares to other iPads in the range, and what to consider before buying this iPad. And so let's delve into it, but first make sure to like and subscribe for the latest Apple news and rumours, and with that being said, let's just tuck in. Now diving into the upgrades with the iPad Air 5 compared to the iPad Air 4, there's really not a lot. So to begin with, we have the M1 chip, and yes, I know this may seem like a major upgrade, but do remember the power of the M1 is kinda wasted on the iPad. We also have 5G if you do go for the cellular version, and we have center stage on the front, and well yeah, that's basically all the upgrades. Now yes, we got some new colours, they look pretty good, but on the whole this is a pretty minor upgrade. And that brings me on to my first piece of advice, which is consider buying an older iPad first. Now the iPad Air 5 at $599 is not a bad deal, but of course, like I said, the iPad Air 4 is a very similar product and can be found for cheaper through third-party retailers. And even if you only want to buy through Apple directly, there are plenty of refurb 2020 iPad Pros that are a way better deal than the iPad Air 5. And yes, I know the 2020 iPad Pros might have a weaker chip, but they do also have 120Hz, quad speakers, which by the way makes a massive difference, and also dual cameras on the back. And so yes, I do think for some consumers, there are advantages going with the 2020 iPad Pro instead. So yes, before you decide to buy the iPad Air 5, if you don't need the specific features this iPad offers, there are plenty of older iPads you can consider instead. But with that out of the way, let's now compare this iPad Air 5 to the rest of the range. So beginning with the regular iPads, I know there is a hefty premium for the iPad Air 5, but I do think it's justified because the iPad 9 has a much older design, but also the display is not laminated, and that does make a massive difference in my opinion. Like when I use a budget iPad, I can instantly tell this display is not laminated, and it does put me off, and obviously when using an Apple Pencil, this won't be as great of a writing experience as the iPad Air 5 offers. And also regarding the Apple Pencil, do remember the iPad Air 5 supports a second gen pencil, which is a lot better than the first gen, since it connects magnetically on the iPad and also has the double tap function. You also have Magic Keyboard support, which is way better than the Smart Keyboard with the budget iPads, and so yes, I do think for most consumers, if you can pay the premium, do get the iPad Air 5 instead. Now comparing the iPad Air 5 to the iPad mini, these devices are actually very similar, so you're basically picking between two sizes. And really that depends on the use case. For example, I know that pilots and medic students do prefer the size of the iPad mini, but of course, for regular students, having the bigger screen size of the iPad Air might be nice to have when writing down notes. And so yeah, these products are basically even, unless of course you do want Magic Keyboard support, in which case only the Air 5 supports that. Now comparing the Air 5 to the Pros, yes, you're getting quad speakers, 120Hz, Face ID, the Thunderbolt port, mini LED on the 12.9-inch size. Those are pretty nice upgrades, but you've got to remember that for most consumers, the Pros are just too expensive for what people do on iPads. In fact, if you do want some of the Pro features, just get the refurb 2020 Pros I mentioned before in the video, but if you do want a new iPad, I do still think the Air 5 is a better buy because it's way cheaper and it does not compromise on a lot. So yeah, that's how the Air 5 compares to the rest of the range. Now here are a few points you do need to note before purchasing this iPad. Number one, think hard about the storage. So Apple offers 64 gigs and 256 as the storage options for this iPad, and to be honest, that does kind of suck, especially when the Pros have had a 128 gig base storage option for many years now. And so I do think most of you guys should consider getting 256 just to future-proof the product, since you won't be able to expand the storage at a later date. However, if you don't want to pay the premium for 256, obviously you can consider paying monthly for iClouds. That's what I do, and so as a result, I don't need that much local storage on my device. And another thing to note is that this iPad does not have the super fast mmWave 5G, so for those who care about that, you might have to get the iPad Pros instead. So yeah, that's everything guys. If you do plan to buy a new iPad Air 5 soon, do let me know in the comments below. Anyways, thank you for watching guys, make sure to like and subscribe for the latest Apple news and rumours. Check out the link above on details regarding the iPhone 14 series, and on that note I'll see you guys in the next one. See ya peeps.